Half of the season gone now. Arsenal are still top of the table. Arsenal have won the North London Derby playing away to Spurs. Arsenal have only lost one game the whole season to Manchester United. Arsenal have only drawn 2 times to Southampton and Newcastle. Arsenal are playing like champions. They have the swag of the champions. They play, the movement, the celebrations, the coach who's convincingly in the press conferences. Everything about Arsenal is screaming champion. Who will stop Arsenal? I think that's now the $1 million question. Every game week we have to ask, who's playing Arsenal, who's stopping Arsenal, who's getting points off Arsenal. And if you look at it now, there is no team that looks like can defeat Arsenal. I mean, as a Chelsea fan, I'm worried, but then they deserve. I'm lifting my hand up and saying Arsenal do deserve where they are, do deserve what they will get if they win the Premier League this end of the season, man. Welcome everyone to MRM Sports. I'm your host, Ronald. Welcome to the roundup of Premier League Game Week 20. Man, who's going to stop Arsenal? I mean, who is going to stop Arsenal? Every game week, every match they play now, they look more and more like Premier League champions. They look convincing. They have the swagger, they have the football, they have the walkabout, they have the celebrations, they have the manager, they have the behavior of champions. Who is going to stop Arsenal? I mean, they go to the North London Derby, to a stadium where traditionally, I mean, for the past, 6, 7, 8 years, we always know, if you watch football, you know, Arsenal win at home versus Spurs, Spurs win at home versus Arsenal. But then yesterday, it was all different. You could feel from the first minute, Arsenal were playing as if they're the home side. They were bossing around Spurs as if they're playing at the Emirates. And you have to give it to them, and they're playing like champions. It's a young team, yes, of course, but then they are playing like champions. Every player knows their role. Every player plays their role to perfection. Everyone. You know what? If you're to dismantle the squad, you can pick a lot of holes in these players. But then as a unit, I mean, you can't deny what Arsenal are and what they're bringing to the Premier League this season. I mean, for them to be this much confident. Half of the season is gone already. They've only lost 1 game. They've only drawn 2 games, which was against, I think, Southampton and Newcastle. And if you remember when they played Newcastle really played like the away side. They really played for a draw. And it was credit to Arsenal because now you can't just go to a 50-50 fight with Arsenal. They will humble you. I don't care who you are. I mean, they've already defeated Chelsea this season, Spurs twice, Liverpool. They had to play City, of course, which would be, I think that will be the title decider. Whenever they play City twice, it will be the title 6-pointer title decider. And you have to give it to them. And I mean, yesterday they just oozing confidence. Even the goal they scored. Of course, the first goal, Hugo Lloris, I mean that was some dubious goalkeeping error. I mean, you don't concede such a goal in a big match like this. From that angle, for you to parry the ball into your own net. I mean, even the Spurs players were shocked when that goal went in. I mean, the way he just parried that ball from nowhere. I mean, how do you, as a world-renowned keeper, I wouldn't say he's world-class, but then as a very good keeper who has played in 2 World Cup finals, in a Champions League final, how do you let that goal go in? And the second goal, of course, man, they were caught in transition. I mean, he kicks it up front. Spurs failed to control the ball at any moment. Arsenal hit them back. I mean, second half, Spurs did have a bit of a threat in like 10-15 minutes, but then that was it. They never looked like a side that's going to score or that's going to put Arsenal under immense pressure. I mean, yeah, Ramsdale did make a few saves, but then it wasn't convincing, man. I mean, Arsenal are looking like champions. It's quite interesting because next game week they play Manchester United at home. Manchester United visit Emirates. I mean, if that's a chance for Arsenal to actually eliminate one more team from chasing them. Because if they defeat United, they go what? I think they'll be, because United a game against Crystal Palace, it's a must win for them, which means if they win, at least they can put pressure on Arsenal to try and defeat them. But then if they lose points to Crystal Palace, they go to Emirates and they lose, I think they'll be out of the title race already. Man, I can't believe Arsenal are this side. I can't believe. I mean, I think patience pays. Maybe this is a lesson to Chelsea. with my Chelsea hat on. Patience pays. Patience in Arteta is paying huge fruits. I mean, the way they are playing, the way they are controlling the games they play in. I mean, they are the side they think they are. They are the team to beat this season. They have been the best team in the league. I mean, yes, Haaland has been stealing headlines, but then overall, when you look at them now, they've been the best team in the league. And you have to give it up to them. I mean, they're in top spot. And they're doing the thing, man. I think it will be a scary sight to see Arsenal lift the Premier League title. See Martin Odegaard lift. I have to resist that. Will he be the youngest captain ever to do that? Because it will be a scary sight to see him lift that Premier League title. I mean, especially if he supported a team based in London, which is Chelsea, of course. But then I have to give it to them, man. You know, if they're to play Chelsea now, I would painfully admit that they are the better side, and then I would expect us to lose or a draw, unless if the ref is dubious and then he gives us a win, he gives us a dubious penalty. But then Arsenal are the side they think they are, man. You can't deny that. And we have to talk about Spurs now. I mean, when Conte went to Spurs, I thought that was a brilliant move. He's at a club where finally you push them to win something. Then they peep Arsenal to top 4 last season. I'm thinking, you know what? That's the Conte effect. This season around, man. You know, I was thinking before I did the show, before I came on air, if you take out Kane from this team could be fighting Chelsea and Liverpool for 10th or 9th position. If you take out Kane and his goals, this team is dead. It's dead. There's no player currently I would take it Chelsea, if I'm being honest. Because there's no player which I think would significantly improve Chelsea other than Kane. I mean, this Son, on form right now, this Son wouldn't do anything at Chelsea. Kuliveski, maybe. Hoipe. Will I take Hoipe over the player over Zakaria? Would I take Benteke over Kovacic? I'm not sure. I mean, there's no player. Maybe Romero again, maybe to partner Thiago Silva, but then if all our defenders are fit, I wouldn't. So exactly, if you take Kane out of Spurs, Spurs are just a middle of the table team, man. A middle table team, man. The top 10 team at best. They are not. I mean, I think Conte has done more harm to this team than, I want to say Nunes, but then I think Jose was getting a bit more of this team than Conte is. I mean, first half they were non-existent. I mean, they were there, they were sitting to be couldn't tell they're the home side. And you know what? Conte's teams have been known that they can't hit you in the counter. I remember when they won the Premier League with Chelsea, we knew that if you give Chelsea space to run at you, Willian, your Hazard, your Costa, they will hurt you. This Spurs team don't even look like that side anymore. I mean, for them to be the second half team again and time again, it doesn't work against big teams. I mean, Arsenal proved that they can nullify. They get the goals. There's no space. They won't create space for Spurs to run at them. This team is so average. If they don't beef up this January, if they don't get quality players in, top 4 is gone for them. Top 4 is gone for them. And it will look like it will be Man United, Newcastle, City, and Arsenal to finish in top 4. I think top 4 will be gone for them, and it will be interesting to see if Conte can stay for Europa League, because I don't think he thinks he's a Europa League coach. He thinks he's a Champions League coach. But then, yeah, man, if you're a Spurs fan, I'm so sorry, but then the way your team is playing, man, I think yesterday we can all agree that Spurs deserved to lose the game. They deserved to lose 2-0. They didn't even deserve to get a goal, a single goal. And it is what it is, man. I think if you're Chelsea, now all you can do is try and fight to catch Spurs and maybe finish in the Europa League or so. Moving on, man, to Newcastle. Newcastle were 1-0 winners against Fulham. What a game. I saw highlights of it. I didn't watch the full 90. And of course, when you get a notification, you quickly jump there. I mean, I saw Mitrovic's penalty. I've never seen a double kick. I've never seen a double kick penalty in a Premier League game. I'm struggling to remember. I tried even yesterday to remember one game where I saw a player do that. For him to kick the ball to his standing foot, yes, it goes into the net. And I was surprised when, like, all the Newcastle, even the Nick Pope, raising their arms to the referee. Like, I was wondering what's going on, what really happened. And then when I saw the replay, like, I mean, from a penalty to an indirect free kick, that's one of the worst I've seen. And Fulham could have easily won that game. I think if Fulham had scored that goal, Newcastle would have maybe got an equalizer, but I think the momentum would have shifted. But then, like a true team fighting for Champions League or even the Premier League, they don't give up, and they bring in Isak, who has been out injured for almost half of the season now. He comes into the fold. Wilson's setting up for an empty net, really. The 1-1 winners are back to third position. I mean, everyone is saying United is in the title race, rightly so. But then I think Newcastle only have cup competitions to focus on. I think it's the Carabao Cup semi-final to focus on. They don't have Champions League football. They don't have any Europa football or Europa Conference League football. It's the perfect time for Newcastle. I mean, if it comes to that part of the season where it's only one game to focus on, you know what? They can plan for every team they'll play against. And you know Arsenal still has to go to the Newcastle Stadium to place Newcastle. They can plan for every game they play against. And they can pull up a surprise, man. I mean, they're not that far off. They can defeat the big sides that they've shown already this season. I mean, imagine if Newcastle win the Premier League. And you know what? To be quite frank, I wouldn't mind that fairy tale again for Newcastle to do it. I wouldn't mind it. I would prefer it to Arsenal if I was wearing a Chelsea shirt on. But then I wouldn't mind. If Arsenal win it, they deserve it. But I wouldn't mind seeing Newcastle lift it. For the Premier League, man, to really show it is the exciting, it is the most vast, it is the most competitive league in the world. I mean, it'll be like equally to like Valencia pulling off some shock and winning La Liga, or Lyon winning the League or League One, or even what Sampdoria winning Serie A. I mean, that would be a huge, or even what Bayer Leverkusen winning the Bundesliga. That would be a huge win for the league in overall, I mean. And then which other game played yesterday? I'm trying to think. But then Chelsea. I didn't want to talk about Chelsea. But then a welcomed victory, of course, over Crystal Palace. It was another West London derby. I mean, I always criticize Havertz. I'm one of those that will always think Havertz doesn't really bring anything to the team. Like effectively is playing as a number 9. But then he did have a good game. Although he missed a lot of chances, he could have easily scored a hat-trick. I don't know. You know, there's a chance where he tries to header it to the net. It skids off his head, and Opa also misses it. If he had left it for Opa to get his goal, I think that would be important. But then, yeah, man, Chelsea win. It was an okay performance. There was nothing special. There was no player which really like stood out. You know, shout outs to Bashatile, man. Is it Bashatile or Bashitile? But Benoit, the new defender, I mean, his partnership with, at first he was a bit shaky, but then he grew into the game. I mean, understandably so. He's a young player. First game of the Chelsea, first debut at the Stamford Bridge. I mean, he really stood out. I think I would expect him to play again against Liverpool. And Thiago Silva, man, I think Thiago Silva was the man of the match. I mean, without Silva, he's one of those. Kane without Spurs without Kane will be a disaster. Chelsea without Silva this season, I think would be looking at a relegation battle. We still remain in 10th position, of course, with 11 points with Liverpool. Next game we're playing Liverpool. Hopefully, we finally managed to defeat Liverpool. I would really love to get a victory and just be ahead of Liverpool. I mean, to compound more pressure on Klopp. But then back to Chelsea. I mean, Bashatile, Thiago Silva, and Kepa. I think Kepa gave us a really good foundation. I mean, he pulled off some key saves. And the most annoying part about being a Chelsea fan is, even if we go ahead, we don't kill off teams. I mean, I think it's 2 seasons in a row now where we don't kill off teams. And they end up putting so much pressure on us. I mean, when the game ended, I mean, I was a bit nervous. When they got a corner, I was nervous. Kepa had to pull off some incredible saves, I was nervous all round, man. But then he managed to win, which was a welcome win. I mean, if it drawn or lost that game, Potter would be singing from a different hymn now. I think he would also be fearing for his job. In as much as the board can reassure him. I think if Potter and they keep on losing, even yourself you'll be worried. And I think you might even start doubting your own capabilities as a coach. But then they did really come through Chelsea. And it was a welcome win for Chelsea, man. And I think, in all honesty, I'm not expecting much. I just want to see next time around. I want to see Matic play. I want to see what he brings to the table, man. It's good to see when the YouTube videos when he's playing in Ukraine and his skills compilation and whatnot. But then the Premier League is where I will personally judge him. It's personally where I'll see if money well spent is not my man, of course. One money well spent to another, waste down the train. He's been given an 8.5-year contract, I believe. Will I suffer through bad football with him for 8.5? Or will I be one of those that say, you know what? If, you know my take on it, if he's to give us, I mean, what Willian did for Chelsea in those 7 years, if to give us that, what Willian brought to the table, I'll be more than happy. Because in as much as Willian was no hazard, you know, but then you knew Willian in his prime, he knew he was dead. I mean, Willian would get 7 key goals for Chelsea next season, and maybe a couple of assists. I don't think Willian had like a plus 20 goal contribution in the Chelsea shirt, but then he did contribute massively every time we won the Premier League, every time we won Europa League, every time we won a cup. Willian was a focal point for us, and now I want Modric to bring something similar, if not more than what Willian did, man. But nonetheless, it's been game week 20. It's been fun to watch. It's not yet over. Of course, we have midweek games. Man United go to Crystal Palace. I'll definitely give a review and a preview of that game. And of course, then we have Spurs versus Spurs away to Manchester City. I think City, a wounded City, will want to just demolish Spurs. And if Spurs play the way they played against Arsenal, I fear for them. Haaland is bound to get goals now. He's bound to get going. I mean, the whole team is bound to click. Spurs are just being Spurs, man. Portland even top 4 now when they were clear favourites. I mean, start of the season, they're favourites to challenge for the title. Now they're not even favourites for the top 4. They're just bottling everything, man. We'll definitely look at those games. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. And we'll drop more content coming soon. More content. I'll try to get on guests as well and see how the channel grows, man. It's been nice doing this. I'm really enjoying it. Please continue to support the channel. I'm your host, Ronald, signing out. Cheers.